This is Chasing the Call with Willard Thompson and Cole Rychak, and this is our first episode. So, Will, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Will. I've been making videos for almost a year now. A lot of y'all have seen me post those. That's the reason you're kind of following this, maybe, or maybe you're new to this. But this is kind of new to us. This has kind of been developing for the last couple
Four
months.
months, something.
Came up at end of January. I mentioned it to Cole, and he's like, didn't think much of it. Maybe went like a month went by, and then we started calling like every week, talking about this, like whether we should do it this summer, next summer, or just trying to find God's timing in all of this. And we realized that God was speaking through us, and He wanted us to start this summer,
Yeah,
just to reach people in a more genuine and real way.
yeah.
So.
Our main goal with this is authenticity. That's like we are not trying to be like leaders who preach down or preach like at people. We're trying to allow people to see themselves and their struggles in us. That's what we're kind of our goal is with this is just to be present authenticity. That's the main reason we're doing this.
So I got baptized as an infant, probably I was like 1 years old. Whatever. And then was brought up in a Christian household. Both parents are Christian. We went to church consistently, probably up until, when COVID hit. Before that, my eighth grade year, I got confirmed, and that was a confirmation class that lasted almost a full year.
Yeah.
I started the school year of my eighth grade
Where'd you get
year,
confirmed at again? I'll hope.
Isle Hope, yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah.
And um, that ended up getting delayed like the end of it because of COVID. So we got confirmed like June, July 2020.
Yeah.
But I didn't really take anything in. Like I didn't feel like I learned anything through that class. I was just doing it,
Just to
like
do it.
just because other people, my friends were doing it, like the friend group I had at the time, we were doing it. And
Hmm.
but every Sunday school, I'd just be like, okay, when is this gonna be done? You know, I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand what was going on. I just feel like it was something else I had to do.
Yeah, it's just it was just a thing you were just doing just because you had
Yeah,
to.
and
It's
like the
like,
retreats were
yeah.
fun and all, and that was kind of like the only things I would like look forward to.
Did I see you on retreats?
Yeah,
I probably did. I just never did you.
yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
know each other like that, but
Yeah.
and then yeah, going into high school, I can't believe I'm doing this all over again. Ninth and 10th grade year, I was at BC. It's a military school, and it's a great athletic program, football, um, basketball, baseball, a lot of other sports, and that's where a lot of people go. So there's like 100 kids in every class, all boys. So socially, there was a little bit of a, gap there in my first 2 years. I didn't develop that, and I was still very immature. Still had a
So like, how'd you like not develop like
just
socially? Just like you didn't develop like
well, yeah.
like
I
social
also I
skills,
was
or
just a great introvert, like a huge introvert, and like I also just couldn't talk to
were you
girls.
kind of like the guy that was like hanging on the outside of the circle and just not talking to anyone, or like did you like
Yeah,
engage
I would
more?
only like talk if someone came up to me,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
Um,
it's kind of me too.
yeah, and so those years after COVID, my family and I fell out of going to church consistently. So it was like probably not until like my junior year we started going back to church again. And it was just like a habit because we didn't go during COVID, and it was just like fell out of that.
It's just a fake thing, kind of.
And I
Just
didn't think much of it because like I was able to sleep in on Sundays and I was satisfied,
yeah.
you know. And I was just focused on basketball my first 2 years and growth, and I grew a lot physically, um, but I didn't really grow that much mentally as I probably should have.
Hmm.
I was, deep in sin and stuff like that, but I didn't know. And, I had a hardened heart, but because of, but I didn't think anything like, if you look at like things I would idolize, basketball is number one. And I don't even think like in terms of priorities in my life that God was even top 10.
Yeah.
Because I just really I had no thought in my mind whatsoever. And it's kind of crazy now I look back on that because like I never would have thought I am where I am today, especially doing this.
Yeah.
Um,
God is good, man.
yeah, I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything that I said previous one that didn't record, but
I think it was like then it was
I
like
got one
junior
in
year
junior year. Yeah,
you
that was the main
transferred to
point.
St. Andrews. That's when
So
you kind of
going from sophomore to junior year, I transferred to St. Andrews just to kind of like, um, get more exposure, better opportunity for me to, play college ball because that's when I realized I wanted to. And also just academics were tough. There was the IB program there, whatever. I was still able to manage 4.0, which is good. Um, but going into my that junior year at St. Andrews, I didn't really know anyone. The only person I kind of knew of was like this family friend I had because like my younger brother and Claire, who's my girlfriend now, his her younger brother, they were like close
yeah.
friends at the time.
Going out a little bit, like you just got there and
And so we ended up like I got to know Claire more, who ended up being my girlfriend. We started dating in like October. Uh, yeah, 22, and then she's still my girlfriend now. Um, and it's been a huge blessing. Like I didn't think it would, you know, have the impact it has had on me. And I started to go into church again, because of her, and just going to her, it kind of like made me feel good because I felt like I had a better image on myself, I guess, when I went to church,
yeah,
but I didn't do it for the right
felt like you're a
reason.
better person.
Like I
Like
did it for validation of people, I guess looking at me better.
yeah,
But
just for
and
your
that was
girlfriend.
like for a month or two, and then kind of fell out of going to church again.
Yeah,
It was very inconsistent. And so that year, going playing basketball, great season, probably averaged 11 a game.
yeah,
Got invited to play on a travel team after winning states, and this travel team was huge for me and getting
yeah,
exposure to college coaches. Um, and that led uh, to like a lot of pressure I put on myself. Like I set expectations so high because I wanted to get like to
hmm
the next level, play college ball, obviously.
yeah,
And I didn't play bad, but after every performance that was somewhat not
yeah,
good, I would beat myself up about it because I didn't see it. I felt like I needed to be this perfect performance every single time just to get any looks by
quick question.
a college coach.
Did you have like any like view on God then, or like just like you said you were deep in sin, like you're like until like even in junior year, like you were deep in sin, and like did you like what would did you even know what sin like really was? Like
No, I did not.
it was just
I did
like
not. I didn't know any significance behind it at all either. Because
yeah,
I was, idea I had is like, yeah, Jesus saves me. I'm good. I'll get to heaven for, I'm good.
yeah.
I'm a good person. I'm not going to go to hell. Whatever.
Did you even really like I know you like you would say it, but like did you like really believe like heaven or hell? Did you just like kind of
I
like
think so, but like the really true belief is when you actually like
yeah,
put time and thought into it and
yeah, that's
understand
that,
why.
yeah, yeah,
And that comes with that maturity, I think.
oh,
The more mature, the more I realize like, hey, I need to fix this.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I was like listening to all the explicit rap, just trying to fit in, secular music, whatnot. And anytime someone would come up to me like saying, or say I played a song, like a rap song, and someone would come to me like, "What's this song? This is good." Like I would feel really good about that because it's not really a good song, but someone else thought it was good.
yeah,
And even though it's like secular, I felt good about it because I sought so much validation in people and just being accepted by people and people liking me for honestly just basketball. Like if I made it big in basketball, people would accept me more. I feel like
hmm
maybe gain more followers, whatever,
yeah.
on Instagram. But that's just not that wasn't
More
healthy.
people know your name, you feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
good about yourself, you
yeah,
know.
and that's what a lot of people do today.
It's
And
like even in the Christian
yeah,
social media
mhm,
atmosphere,
mhm,
and that's
yeah. And I would like cursing wise, honestly, got worse. Honestly, probably because of the music I would listen to, because like what I put into my ears, honestly, is gonna come out your mouth, whether you think it or not. Unintentionally, it will. Um,
you talk about cursing like a good bit. Like I know we're not gonna like make this podcast like explicit, but like just to be honest, like what were like some of the, like the things that like I guess were just like nasty that you were saying, like because there's no shame in Christ, man. Like we gotta,
oh, it's an interesting question. Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but I mean, like, I'll drop the F bomb like it's nothing, nothing, nothing.
yeah.
I hope hopefully I can cut that out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I'll just like say anything like without thought into it. It would just like come out, and I didn't think anything of it. I obviously didn't cuss around like adults or kids or anything. Just around like my friends because I guess it made me feel better about fitting
You
in or
feel
whatever.
cool and stuff
Feel
like
cool,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That's what a lot of kids try to do now, especially with peer pressures. Like it's not good.
yeah,
Generations like, oh yeah, I want to look cool. I want to fit in with my friends. But being different is a good thing,
yeah.
you know. So going on like summer, like after my junior year, going into my senior year, is very busy with travel basketball, trying to get, looks by college coaches, offers, whatnot. And I didn't even play bad, but I still didn't have offers like after that summer. And going in the fall, I had visits that I would go on, still busy with that, and talking to coaches like every week. It was very stressful for me, and like mentally, I put way too much stress on myself. And I think sometimes, like to even perform better, I actually did read some of the Bible, like Genesis or Matthew or whatnot, just to feel like I'd have like some confidence, get some confidence in some way, because I knew I was lacking that.
Mhm.
So I wasn't reading the Bible for the right reason, and kind of I fell out of that again. I read it maybe a couple weeks in like July,
Yeah,
but it wasn't for the right reason. I was just trying to do what it took, and then I would say occasional prayers like, "God, just please give me one offer, please," like stuff like that. But it's like
yeah.
it wasn't like genuine. I would only go to God for something that I need. I'd only go to him in times of like when I needed him, not when things were going good.
You didn't go to him for him. You just get went to
Yeah.
him as long as it was
I
convenient.
was using him.
Yeah,
Yeah. And um I don't think I knew that.
yeah.
I didn't
Sometimes we
understand the
view,
whole,
yeah.
you know,
Sometimes we
behind
view
that.
God as like this genie in the sky. Like, you come to him when you need him, and it's like it's not exactly how it works. It's like Jesus calls us to like a life of walking with him, and
Yeah.
it's like
Real relationship.
real relationship, man, not religion.
Yeah. And so I did pick up a couple offers like October, December, but going even through that, like October through December, like going into my senior year, I'd put way too much high expectations. Like I put perfect expectations for a perfect season, perfect life that I imagined for myself. Like, oh, average 20 plus a game, average 5 assists, 5 rebounds, two steals, like shoot over 40% from three, win a state, make all state, maybe win state player of the year. Like
Mhm,
those were achievable. They're obviously all achievable. Any dream's achievable,
mhm,
but it also needs to be like realistic. If you put something that's far beyond what you can do, and you don't meet it, you're just gonna like you're gonna feel so down about yourself, and that's kind of what I did. And
mhm,
so when practice started in like October, um, this is 2023, October, yeah, and if I made a little mistake, like itty bitty mistake in practice, say I like missed a layup and I got fouled on, but I still beat myself up because I knew I should have made it. Like,
mhm.
you got to finish that contact. Come on, you
Yeah.
suck, dude. And I'm just like, I beat myself. Like, say that happens. The rest of the
Mhm.
practice, I would just play
Was it
terrible.
just like mistakes that you beat yourself up over, or was it like if you missed like a 3 point, like I know like it's like 40% is like a great 3 point percentage, but like
hmm
if you missed a 3 point, like how would you feel about that? Would you get
I would
upset?
still, I'll still get like honestly angry and just then it would lead to just built up like sadness. Because I think I was trying to shoot 50% from three on the year. With the amount of volume I shot, that wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
Um, and I still ended up. Nah, I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to get too like prideful or whatever.
No,
Um,
that dude, say it honestly.
yeah, I made like 133s, which is like insane. It would have been like top 25 in the country, and I was still beating myself up, like not shooting as well as I should have.
Yeah. I
Whatever.
mean,
Um, and then I'd get yeah to the back to the October through December period. That's when I was going through a depressive and an anxious state, and not even realize it.
yeah.
And I played it off. I probably played off like it wasn't nothing. When I do share my testimony now, I probably don't say it was as bad as it was. But that period is where I kind of had this gradual change in my life. and I got so down um, that the suicidal thoughts I did have, I thought were just intrusive thoughts. But I realize now, like, I've never had those thoughts ever except for that period in my life.
Yeah.
So, like, just a reminder, like, if you do have those thoughts, it's not something to take lightly.
It's
And I didn't, I hid it from I think people who are broken, they like to hide everything because they don't want to seek that professional help. They don't want people to see that they are going through something because they would think, oh, they're going to think of me even more poorly. They're
they're
going
gonna
to
think
think
of you
that,
as weak.
yeah,
Like,
they're going
oh,
to
you
view
can't
like, I
control
didn't want to
yourself.
be considered like this weak, terrible person. Like, I have everything going for me. I had no reason to feel this way.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it was like this never-ending cycle
Yeah.
of like, oh, play not to mess up, not to mess up. Oh, I messed up, and then I would overthink about that, and then try not to mess up the next thing, and continue to mess up, and it would lead to poor performance. And then I would feel like after practice, I'd be driving home, and I'd just be like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel like crap?
Yeah.
And there's no reason for me to. And because of that, I just felt even worse because
This is
I
like
knew I didn't want to feel that way, and I still did.
this is like the period where you were like you got your offers
Yeah.
right, like had girlfriend,
Yeah, and
4.0
what's
GPA.
crazy,
It's
people on
like
the outside probably didn't even know that I was like going through stuff.
yeah,
But when we had like 6 to 8 o'clock practice, we'd have like I'd be in the classrooms like studying before, but I'd procrastinate. So I was with like my friends like Reese or Johnny, and I would honestly joke about like suicide and stuff, like like joking about like driving off a bridge, like to them out loud, and they're like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm good. Why not? Why?" He's like, you need to get help, like kind of jokingly, but like I didn't realize like if you joke about it more, you're more likely to actually follow through with it.
yeah,
And so when I looked that up, I'm like, okay, I might need to like lock in here. But I still didn't like I withheld information still with like people I was closest with. I didn't tell anything to my parents because I knew they would freak out and they would tell me to get professional help, and I didn't want that. So I told like itty bitty stuff to like Claire, my girlfriend, and then Carter, who was my closest friend since he's been my closest friend since like quarantine. But it was only like I would say like, oh yeah, I'm having overthinking crisis, overthinking problems here, and low self-esteem, whatever. But I didn't say it was that major. But I was still listening. Like I would listen to this music on the way back home, and it would be like sad music, like to fit the mood. And it wouldn't. I thought it would help me, but sad music just makes it worse. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah.
Like
It low key does.
yeah, like what you put in your ears is what, if you don't like
I kind of
unintentionally,
used to
it's
do
gonna
that
make
too.
you, it's gonna like impact you more than you think.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
Yeah.
It's like this sad music. It's like listening to it. I guess it makes you feel like kind of heard, like something like you can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like even in that, like it doesn't help you at all.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you should feel the way you
Yeah,
are
so
when you're down, but it's like I just had this huge hole in my heart, and I was like, I had everything going for me, and it still wasn't fulfilling me. And that just shows like, even when you do have everything going for you, you got to realize like, what's the point? You got to realize your reason for living, your purpose for living, and
going to that
that
point.
emptiness you can only find in God.
Yeah,
Like if you're broken, if you're struggling, that's when you need to go to God, because that's if I didn't go to God, I probably, I don't know,
yeah.
who knows what would have happened.
And going into that, like your fulfillment was it like just based on like your girlfriend, basketball, like that, like it was all based on that, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like you would think like if you have everything going for you, but there are still people out there like even older people, 30s, 40s who are making millions who still aren't fulfilled. Like money
Yeah,
doesn't fulfill you,
yeah,
fame doesn't fulfill you, sports doesn't fulfill you.
yeah,
You're still going to feel some type of emptiness, and this is what people struggle with suicide today, and it's so sad. People don't realize the thing missing in their heart is God.
yeah.
And man, if I'm so glad I realized that for the people around me, the good influences I had when I did realize like I broke, and that is when I did find God was in December of 2023. And I didn't realize, but until I went to this FCA that I joined in January, Zayden helped me join that, and Cole was in that too. And
Yeah.
Zayden's dad was Zion, who's a preacher, he helped me realize like we were reading a book called What Does It Mean to Be Born Again? And it
Yeah,
just so happened to be what I was going exactly what I was going through this time
that's
period.
perfect, man.
Like God's timing, man. Anyway, I realized like there was the analogy that just stuck out to me. It still is never gonna leave my mind. Like you see the wind on blowing on a flag. You can see the effects of it, but you can't see it physically. That's exactly like the Holy Spirit and what it
Yeah,
was doing in my life and what it
yeah,
was doing inside of me. What was happening through me to me October through December was attack from the enemy, from Satan. He was trying to bring me down because I had zero reason to feel the way I was.
yeah,
And that's honestly just a result like spiritual warfare. Before you are born again, most of the time there is something that goes on before that. There's
yeah.
something that leads to that. Like
Mhm.
if you look at Bryce Crawford, like he's somebody that inspires me every single day. You know, I watch him, follow him. He was about to, commit suicide inside a Waffle House, but then he had an encounter with God.
Yeah,
And I didn't have like an actual encounter like he did, most likely, but I realized that I needed something to fill my heart, and that's when God found me. And that's when, he changed my life. Like the progress, I still haven't been in Christ for like not even 2 years, man.
yeah.
And the amount of progress he's done, it's like I'm being humble about this, but like it's just I never would have thought never could have imagined. And
2 years later, you're making a podcast.
yeah,
Also, if y'all like, just so people know, like he came to St. Andrews. That's like the first time like I'd like seen him before. Like I saw him like one time like in a row behind me at church, but it was like I never like knew him. Even junior year, we didn't like we were just like kind of like casual with each other, and
mm-hmm,
then it was
yeah,
like God save both of us.
yeah. And so when I started going to FCA or whatever, January, February, towards the end of the season, because I, started, having these mental stuff, I actually did go to somebody. I went to Coach Jay, who Claire told me to go to, who's like helps people like with sports stuff, mental stuff at our school. He was a huge help. He was like, you need to find whatever your outlet is. And when you find that, that's where you need to go to when you're feeling stressed, anxious, whatever. And I figured out it was reading the Bible. And I started building a pregame routine where I would read the Bible like before every single game. And I would read a couple chapters, like 3, 4 chapters before every game. And I read like Proverbs, which honestly got me a lot of wisdom. If you ever want wisdom, read Proverbs. And then
Proverbs.
Ecclesiastes, bro. Like
Oh,
the poetic stuff that's in there,
Ecclesiastes,
the wisdom
brother.
that's in there, man. Like that's not usually the typical first two books you read in the
Dude,
Bible. That
yeah.
was the first two books I read.
That just blew my mind.
The first two
Ecclesiastes.
books I read in the Bible were those two books, man.
Did you like? You knew probably before that like Proverbs was like the book of wisdom, right?
Yeah,
Like so you
yeah.
knew
I
that.
kind of looked it up, and then that's where I started with Proverbs. I'm like, might as well go in order, go to the next one.
Oh, yeah, dude,
Yeah, helped me a lot.
Ecclesiastes. That dude, I respect that, man.
Yeah,
That's fire.
yeah. And so I actually like performance went way up after talking to Coach Jay. It's like my faith was growing. I could see it. It was still itty bitty, but like faith of a mustard seed is all you need, and you can
Yeah,
move mountains. Like,
yeah.
and we went on a huge winning streak. Spirits were high, and we ended up falling short in the final four. But just the amount of growth I had in myself and the confidence in myself just led to greater performance on the court. And I honestly realized that I didn't even need my identity in basketball anymore. And that's when I let that weight off my shoulders, let that pressure off my shoulders, and gave it all to God.
Yeah.
And that's when you can play freely and play, honestly, just
Did
with
you
way more confidence.
start to just like enjoy basketball as like the game it is?
Hmm
Like it's just a game. It's not like your
Yeah,
life, you
yeah, and
know?
that's why it crushed me when I saw it end high school. But
Yeah,
I realized like I was so blessed to, continue to play
yeah,
now at Oglethorpe. It's just a huge blessing.
yeah,
And yeah, and so I'm still not done with this. My
yeah.
bad. It's gonna go for a minute. We got time.
We got time, bro. We got time.
So like Lent came up. This was like early March, maybe late February,
Yeah.
and I joined the youth group at my church, and
Funny thing is
he
that
was in it
we were
too.
both at the same
It was
youth
like
group.
William Sherrouse, Charlie, Jake, Witt, like all of them. It was like my
Not
old
not all,
buddies.
but
Yeah, some
I
of
think
them,
it
but
was
it
like
was like my
William and Charlie most.
old group from like some of them were in my confirmation class, and it was kind of weird, but it was like
Yeah,
so cool. I didn't know anything about Lent, but it's basically like you give up something up until
Like Easter.
yeah, Easter.
It's kind of a
And
religious holiday, but
yeah, you don't like have to do it, but it was something I
yeah,
participated in because we held each other accountable with it. And it was like cursing, and because I still struggle with that, like on the court, like I would still curse and stuff.
yeah,
And then it was just like explicit music. So I gave that up. I took out all the explicit music from I had on Spotify, and I just honestly just found all the clean versions of it. Still listen to that,
but you were still
but
listening to that stuff,
it
just
was still
like
listening to that. But I thought, okay, if I'm not hearing the curse words, then I'm good.
yeah, but it still talks about like
And so I did
violence.
that for a couple of months anyway, and I was actually successful with that. I thought I was good. Like I didn't
Bro,
listen to any
bro thought
explicit
he
stuff,
cheat the system.
but I still struggle with cursing here and there. But because of Lent, when I did cuss, I felt like immediate convictions. Like I would say the F word, be like, oh crap, I'm sorry, Lord.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and I still see people like if you realize that when you have immediate conviction after you do curse, that means you're making progress.
yeah,
Um, and it could take time. It will take time, but it's worth it.
yeah.
It's really worth it because now I don't even think about it, and
Same here.
I haven't been cursing for I think a year now actually, which is crazy.
Yeah,
But it just makes you feel better,
yeah,
especially if you don't listen to that secular music anymore too, which I know is so hard for people. But I listen to like Christian rap now,
yeah,
and I started that last year in May, Christian rap and just worship. But
yeah,
whatever you find, like, and it's not like listening to clean songs from like artists that aren't Christian. Like that's not bad. But for me, my calling was like Christian rap worship, like just help me
yeah,
fulfill me even more.
yeah,
Um, and so actually after Lent, I'm like, why not? Why would I stop this? Like there would be no point.
yeah,
And so I just kept that going,
yeah,
and it eventually led to no cursing and no more explicit or secular music. It's
yeah,
been a huge blessing on me too.
yeah. Dude, like, do you feel like a lot better about yourself when you're like not like saying those like awful things now? It's like
Yeah.
you feel
Yeah, it wouldn't even be like awful things. It would just be like a simple sentence I would have.
yeah.
Just be like,
Oh,
in like playing 2K, whatever.
like, oh,
It's not even something bad, but
this
you just
guy's
drop the F-bomb in there.
this
It's
this
like
guy's
why?
like
There's no
this
need.
guy's a dumb A word.
Eh,
Like, it's just it was just saying just nasty things. It was honestly got to the point that you're just saying it to say it. Like
mhm.
it's not like anything
Yeah, because
special.
when I read that we're called to just everything that you say is to uplift the person that you're talking to. It's like when you say those cuss words, it's obviously gonna, you know, someone's gonna hear that and take it a certain way.
Yeah,
So, everything that comes out of your mouth should be for building somebody up.
yeah.
And cussing does not do that.
Tame the tongue. James 4. I
Mm.
think it's James. Yeah, it's James 3 or James 4. Oh, wait,
Four,
wait, check. I think it's James 4.
four, maybe. I don't
Uh,
know.
no, that's submit yourselves to God. No, no, that's James 3. I was
Three.
wrong.
I was wrong.
I was wrong. Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, going and this is like I thought I was like, okay, I've come to Christ. I'm good. Like I didn't think what was
Yeah.
next for me would be even more.
Also,
But
during this time period was like when me and him like both actually like started becoming friends and like really
yeah,
like getting
like
close.
May 2024, like we were graduating, whatnot. It was pretty sad, but like I was honestly ready for the next chapter.
Yeah.
Graduated like mid-May
Yeah.
last year. This is almost a year ago. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's crazy.
Anyway, um, graduated, started summer. I was just, got with a trainer. I was so focused, so locked in on basketball, just getting
Bro, it's
myself ready
dialed.
for college basketball. And, I was eating right, tracking my calories, whatnot.
I would bust his butt about tracking those calories. I would be so on him about it. It was so funny.
Jokingly, but
I
yeah,
was joking, man. I would love giving him a hard time about that. I thought that was hilarious.
yeah. And so it was great. And then
Bro's too goofy.
I would be on like TikTok and Instagram, like when I would scroll on my feed, it slowly changed to like more and more Christian people influence talking. And so Just Miles, this guy I followed from like quarantine, he would make these skits that were pretty funny. It
Yeah,
was about like All American, Spencer James, whatever.
yeah,
And he had like 1 million followers.
yeah.
And he didn't post for like a year or two or something like that. And I was still following him, and he came up like I think on my feed again this spring last year. around this time, and he came to Christ like out of nowhere, and he was making all these Christian videos, like talking to people about how he
Mhm.
came to Christ, how he was, you know, a new creation, and just spreading the word and message. And man,
It's like,
that impact on me, it inspired me. Like, he's also a college basketball player too. It's just like
yeah,
it resonated with me so much. Like, why would he leave all this and just
like he
do
has
this?
millions of followers and he's
And
making,
it honestly, like, he lost followers, but then once he started doing this consistently, his following just skyrocketed. Like, he went from 7K or something Instagram followers, and now he's like 150,000
yeah,
followers on Instagram. He's been a huge blessing in my life. And when I was watching him, like May last year, I'm like, I could do this. I could, why not? I feel like I got this weird calling sense to start
yeah,
making videos, to help
yeah,
people because I had an experience. I came to Christ, and it's been a pretty quick change. I'm not gonna lie, like with 5, 6 months, that's a pretty, you know, that's not a long time period, you
yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think it was like first week of June. Um, I didn't have a job. I was just focused on basketball and stuff.
Hmm.
Hanging out with friends and whatnot.
Hmm.
I That night I went to sleep. It was like June 3rd, maybe.
Yeah,
And I feel like, okay, I might get up in the morning and, go out to my dock and film my first video. But I was like so nervous. Like
yeah,
I would feel anxious about like, oh, what would people think of me? I would still have those thoughts.
yeah,
And, it's still not good. I still have thoughts occasionally like that. But now with my videos, I never have those thoughts. Like I
yeah,
just post them because I'm so comfortable with it now. And that's not like you don't want to be comfortable, but like God's leading me in each video now.
yeah,
And even though I'd have scripts like a year ago doing this,
yeah,
the sense that God gave me to do that day and there, I didn't realize like there was a reason for that. And it's honestly pretty sad what happened, but I didn't realize after I posted that video the next day, I filmed that morning and then posted it on TikTok that night. Those 3 parts about the encounter I had with God that first week of May. I forgot to mention that too.
yeah.
I'll
I
go
can
back to that.
go into that. Yeah,
Um, and I didn't realize, but my friend, my former teammate, he had ended up passing away that night. And the last thing that he reposted on TikTok was my video for that. And when I saw that, I got the news that he passed away the next morning. I'm like, I was just crushed. Like I was just like in shock. I didn't know how to react because like I never thought like something could happen to somebody like young.
yeah,
And I realized like I think God was telling me like this was the reason like I needed to touch him in time. Maybe it touched his heart in time, and so he could be saved. And
yeah.
maybe in his last moments, I mean, I feel like that could have really touched him, and it's just impactful for me because
Just like one song.
what God does in His timing. You never know what the reason behind it for is.
Hmm.
Like if you're late, I always get this like comparison. Like if you're ever like if something happens on the road and you end up being late to work, it could be because God's protecting you from something. So
Yeah,
there's always something that you can't see but God sees, and just know that.
yeah,
That don't if you feel a sense from or calling from God, don't ignore that.
yeah,
Um and going back to that encounter I had like first week of May, it was like
yeah,
exams time period, IB exams.
yeah,
And it was like I was still like trying to like figure out everything, trust everything. And I was still stressed about exams. And then I'm driving behind this car. The license plate, the last 4 digits was 4646. And I don't really know how angel numbers are significant, but for
Was
some
there
reason,
something? Wasn't there something in front of the 4646, or was it? No, it wasn't.
it
Ah,
was just the last 4 digits. I'm like, that's weird. And I got the sense to look it up. Like, what does 4646 mean? And I have this screenshot somewhere, but and I have this video. It's still up on my page. But it was like about trusting the process, trusting what God's doing, and not letting whatever's happening in your life, whatever's stressing you out, whatever's bringing you down, let that
yeah,
impact that. And it was just like chills down my spine as the song Oceans was on. It
bro,
was singing it in
that's
this thing in the
fire.
exact moment I looked it up and reading it.
That is
It
fire.
was singing like Spirit lead me when my trust is without borders. Let me walk along the waters.
Yeah,
Oh, what was the last line? Anyway,
until you
it
call me or something.
yeah,
Yeah, something like that. I
and
think. Yeah,
instant chills, and I'm just like, whoa. what's happening? And I just realized like God was trying to talk to me. It's just like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's just such a blessing. And
Yeah.
I ended up, continuing to make videos. It's terrible what happened. It's still crazy. It's almost a year ago.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm still making videos now. And honestly, it led to this podcast, and it's just been
Yeah.
such a blessing, man.
Yeah.
Like, and before I've like when I post videos that have scripts, but now like January of this year, 25, I've realized that I need to like not let this be me glorifying myself, but make sure I'm glorifying God, especially with this podcast too. We got to
Mhm.
make sure we're not doing this for us
Yeah.
and
Just
our fame,
doing it
our
for
growth
authenticity.
on social media, but for God,
Yeah.
reaching people for to see God and
Yeah.
revealing the love that God has shown us to reveal that to other people.
Yeah. And just
And
show our authenticity and like
yeah,
our growth and struggles in that. Because
hmm
I feel like,
because like there's so many. I don't mean to cut you
no,
off.
no, you go. Oh, you go.
Like the
You go.
influencers, like there can be like there's you only see like these little minute videos, clips or whatnot.
Yeah.
That's why the thing about podcasts, you see the real and genuine conversations that you don't see.
Yeah. See
And for
authenticity.
people that want to watch this, that's like you see something that I feel like you should see because if you see just a minute video, you don't know what's going
Yeah.
on in the real life in the real
Or you can
world.
see like longer videos on social media, but like you can't like plug that in the car. You can't
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
a podcast is something that you can just like plug in, put on, and like people are just talking. Like
Yeah.
our thing here is like we're not like trying to give you sermons and stuff like that. That's like you want a sermon, go to church. Like
Yeah.
you can go to church and get a sermon
Mm-hmm.
and like that, but that's not what we're. We're not trying to be preachers of all. I mean, actually, you know what? If God calls us to do that, we'll do it. But
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
I mean, we're not. We are just obedient servants of the Lord. That's what we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there more you got? Think after that?
I'm keeping it short. I've already gone a good bit, but
All
like
right.
going in my freshman year at Oglethorpe, learned a lot. I was still kind of, nervous for it, but then once I got, settled in, I probably went a month without posting a video, which was like the longest period it's ever been,
Yeah.
like August, September, whatever, because I just moved in, adjusting to college. Then I was still making like these 3, 4 minute, 5 minute videos. Get into the season, focused on that. You know, um, I actually got to play, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
The freshman getting playing time and the season was honestly pretty good. Um, Finished like 16 and 10, averaged like 3 points a game.
Oh,
Um, not we didn't have anything we wanted, but still a solid year, and we have
and
a
you're
lot.
living your dream.
Yeah, still have a lot of opportunity for next year that I'm looking forward to.
How do you feel about the fact that you were living your dream? Like you always wanted to play college basketball, but then now like you're doing it for God now. It's like that
Yeah, it
shift,
still
man.
doesn't feel like real. Like
Yeah.
never forget that when you're praying for something now, never forget that you're living in an answered prayer.
Yeah. I mean,
Like I'm surprised I just said that, but like we can't forget like the things like I lost my train of thought, man. Anyway,
uh,
yeah, so and then December, that's when I started posting these minute videos now. I made it shorter because I realized like talking to my friends like, yeah, I'm not really reaching as many people as I feel like I could be. And I felt the sense like to make these 1 minute videos that's shorter because I would have like, mumbles, stutters in the 3, 4 minute videos and then the minute video. I was just letting God lead me and I was speaking with conviction, authority and stuff and being more clear and direct.
but it was
And
like a
that,
script, right? Was it like were you
and
scripted
at
that way?
first I would script it, yeah, even
Yeah.
with the 1 minutes, but it was just more real and it started reaching way more people. And I'm like, okay, I need to start doing this now. And now I don't even have scripts before I do the videos. I just let God lead me where He wants me to talk about
Yeah.
and the topic I want to talk about.
Because I think you mentioned this to me. You were initially like doing like okay, like topic, like hook, three basic points
Yeah, I
to
would
like
write down in my notebook,
like
but
in
like
conclusion or something like that.
it's not even needed. Like whatever God wants me to say, He will lead me to say it
Yeah,
and put it in front of people that need to see it.
it's like I think Jesus says I don't. It's maybe Matthew 11 or it's either anywhere between Matthew 8 through 12. But it's like the Spirit will give you what to say. It will like instruct you what to
Mm-hmm.
say, and I can think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like what you've been doing. It's like the Spirit kind of
Yeah.
leads you to that.
Yeah, and sometimes going out of your comfort zone, even when you don't feel, crazy
Yeah,
comfortable, it's a blessing because you can have the confidence knowing that when you are putting something, the Holy Spirit will speak through you, and you can
yeah,
have the confidence knowing that.
yeah. Because man, it's one thing to get in front of a camera, it's another thing to actually like go and like speak out and like
Hmm.
talk about Jesus. And
Yeah, and so that leads towards the end of my freshman year, and
yeah,
meeting Cole, he came to Oglethorpe for one of my games in the weekend,
yeah,
and I mentioned that podcast. I don't even know how I brought it up or
yeah.
anything.
You just brought up, you're like, man, I
It's
think I'm
kind of,
starting about podcasts. And I was like, yeah, you should do
I
that.
don't know what brought that up to me. I
I don't
guess
know, but there's
God.
something else I'm gonna mention in my testimony that really ties into
Yeah,
that. It's
and
gonna be
so
sick.
that developed that.
And
And so since we've been talking about that, like we've been calling every week since we've been apart
yeah,
in our own colleges. He's at UGM at Oglethorpe.
yeah,
Um, and we just like kept saying, "Oh, okay." We were like settled, like, "Okay, I don't think God wants us to do this yet. He wants us, give us more time to get ready for this.
yeah.
Maybe do it
Maybe
a
do it in like a
year,
year or
couple years from
two.
now, whatever." I'm like, "Okay, okay. I feel like that's right. Yeah."
And like,
And
dude,
then
the
you
amount
can
of
go.
spiritual warfare with this, like, dude, I was second guessing everything just about like, oh, does God want to start it now? Does he want to start it later? Does he like overthinking this so much? And it was like, I think I was on the phone with Willard one time, and I just like heard this tiny whisper in the back of my head. I was like, just talking about it to him like about when we're gonna start and stuff like that. I heard this tiny whisper in the back of my head, and he's like, start, just start.
Hmm.
Like just like and that's like when I realized I'm like there's nothing that like I can do to like really prepare for this. Cause like yeah, you can get in front of a camera, but it's like we're speaking about Jesus. Like there's nothing you can really do to make yourself ready for it. You're never like ready to like share the gospel. I mean, the times when I've encountered people and like evangelize and try to lead people to Jesus, it was never like, oh, I'm ready, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling spiritually high. It was sometimes in the most random moments. And
Mm,
I would just see like the Lord speak through me, and it would just
yeah.
like I'd see like people's lives change. I'd see their faces lighten up. It wasn't like bringing them to church; it was just bringing them to Jesus, and that was it. Yeah. So wait, are you done with your testimony? I think. Or
Um, where are we at, May now? Trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, I'm sorry I've gone 40 minutes, but
hey, dude, that's a great 40
yeah,
minutes, man. I'll tell you what, this was I think better than because you got 18 minutes, but you'd gotten to like almost
I
like
think
mid
yeah, I
story.
think
You
there was a reason for that. I got more detail in it, I
more
think.
detail.
And I think my next step now is like this summer, I'm gonna be working in a hospital, and then I'm gonna be working in my church too, helping out. And I think I'm trying to see where God's leading me, because I got a sense of calling. Actually, I'll mention this.
Yeah.
Last Easter, this past Easter, the sermon, I felt a sense of calling. It was about taking that next step in your faith, and I didn't realize it could either be with this podcast, what we're doing, or it could be like maybe
Ministry.
even going into ministry and
I
going down the preacher route.
yeah.
And whatever God, I'm surrendering it all to God. And wherever He's leading me, that's where I'm gonna go. And right now I'm like medicine or ministry. So I'm
Yeah.
doing both this summer. So it's like the best of both worlds and getting
Yeah.
exposed to both. So it's a huge blessing for me. I'm looking forward to it this summer. And yeah, we're gonna continue to do this probably once a week, upload clips
And
on social media,
yeah.
and then upload the full versions on YouTube once a week. So
And yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing.
yeah.
All right, so this is gonna be like my testimony version of this. So, and this is all right. So, like, where to start? Like, just like Willard, like I grew up in a Christian household my entire life. In fact, I was like the Sunday school teacher's kid. That's what I was. So, thankfully people didn't come up to me for like biblical knowledge because I wouldn't have told them anything. I didn't know jack. But I mean, for the first like I'd say 10 years of my life, I actually really loved Jesus. I would like really like I would go to church class, listen to a lot of worship music, but it was just because I was like a child, like Jesus says, like childlike faith. I was like, I love Jesus because my parents loved Jesus. I loved just like church. I loved all like the way worship music sounded. But
Hmm.
then when I got to middle school, that's when like things like changed, and I didn't even know about stepping down a dark path that would probably dominate my life for 6 years. You know, so it was like like as I said, like as a kid, I was in like all the church retreats, all that stuff. Heading into middle school, like I like was still active in my church here in Santa Ana because we moved. My family moved from like Virginia to Savannah, like when I was like 9. So I've been there for a couple of years. But like once once we got here, I was like, I still came to church. But it started to like just have less meaning to me. Like it just didn't really mean as much. I was just kind of like doing it to do it. And I got to middle school and it was like all these like worlds started to open up and like, video games, like meeting all these people, and like it was like at the point where like you're kind of past like the childlike things, and you kind of want to be like more grown up. And so I was like, I was cussing, I was saying just some really nasty things. Like I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna like hold and like say that I'm like and not talk about things I was saying, but like I'm saying like I would say racist, homophobic things. I would say things just to be cool. Like I'm being honest, I've said slurs before. I've said things that like man are so misrepresented. Like are like this book has changed my life, and like everything I would be saying is probably the exact opposite of what Jesus was and what he did and he
Mm.
stood for. You know, so getting through middle school, I was just doing the same thing. I was like cussing, and then it got to high school, and like I'd always viewed myself as an athlete, but I was like well very like introverted, but I was incredibly insecure, like so
Mm.
insecure. In fact, it was bad. Like my insecurities, like I just thought everyone. I honestly felt like I never fit in. I would try so hard to fit in, but I was like, and I was like, what, like the term, like the popular loner, like that was low key
Yeah.
me. Not gonna lie,
Okay. Yeah.
that was low key me. But you know, got into high school, and this is when like my mental health hit like so low. I didn't even know. Like
And you were at St. Andrews
I
your
was at
whole
St.
life?
Andrews. Like my well, ever since I moved to Savannah, I was basically at St. Andrews
Okay, I
for
got you.
so like I like freshman year I started listening, Juice World? Yeah. I
Yeah,
used to
everyone did.
listen.
I did.
Oh yeah, I listened to his music all the time because it was super sad music. And initially, I just like thought I like the intrusive thoughts. I was like, oh man, I'm just listening to this because it sounds cool. I like his voice. Like he makes really good songs. But like I didn't like even realize like in the moments I was just like relating to what he was saying.
Mm.
Like I was coping,
Mm.
and
Mm.
it was then that like I just really was like started like actually getting depressed. Like I was sometimes I would just like lay awake in my bed and just feel like taunted like by demons. Like I just felt like man like that no way God loves me. Like I thought about God, but I was like thinking him so far off. Like he doesn't care about me. He doesn't understand me. I'm like no one understands me. I'm just me. I'm broken, and I'm just like I was like lost for so long. So
Mm.
as high school starts going on, I'm an athlete, so I was playing football. I love football. I played basketball
Mm.
first 2 years, but I was
Mm.
never near as good as Willard. But
I don't mean to cut you off. Did you have kind of like a biblical knowledge beforehand? So like when you had
yeah,
this.
say I did have like a biblical knowledge. I would say that like, I need some verses. But it was only honestly to kind of justify my life, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like I think like in
I
junior
got you.
year, like I will hope like the church we like went to split apart because of
Mm.
like the issue of gay marriage,
Yeah.
and like they didn't fully disaffiliate. I mean, that's another topic for another time. But
Yeah.
I was basically super angry at that because I was like incredibly prejudiced because I felt horrible about myself. So I would basically in my mind just hate other people.
Mm.
So I would be using that as justification. Oh, I'm not going to go here anymore because the Bible says, oh, homosexuality is wrong. It's very clear on that. And I was just so focused on putting those people down that like I wouldn't like physically bully people,
Mm.
but like in my head, in my heart, I hated people.
Mm.
I hated them. It was
Yeah.
awful. You know,
I
I
think
was
that's
just
something that people with Christianity still struggle with today,
yeah.
and
It's
it's
like
not good.
yeah, and that's just because I like the reason I hated people is because I hated myself.
Mm.
So
You gotta love yourself first to be able to love
others,
people, because
yeah,
you're called to love people as you love your neighbor as yourself.
yeah,
But if you don't love yourself, you don't love your neighbor.
yeah, that's
So
the truth. And it's like,
yeah.
you know, so those 3 years, like, so I'd say the first 2 years of high school, like, first year of high school started getting bad. Second year, it started getting even worse. And like, I started going to therapy. I started you know, like I didn't tell too many people about it. I didn't tell my parents much about it. I just asked like, "Oh, can I get like a counselor?" And they just like they just paid for it. So and
Mm.
like I'm not gonna dog my parents. My parents are great parents. I love them very much. It was not them. It was me. And I just like the reason I would never speak up is because you want to be. If I'm being completely honest about me and Willard, we're two rich private school kids from Savannah. Like that's kind of like the life that we've can't come from. So it's like for me, I was like, man, I've been given so much. I'm like my life in terms of like 99% of the world is great, and I felt nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
exactly.
was
Can't forget that.
like for me, which was just such a struggle, was like, man, I was like, I felt like I couldn't talk about it because I'm like, Cole, you go to a freaking private school, you get like, you have a car, you have like,
Hmm.
you take these nice vacations and all these things, like you do all these things, and it's like, there's no way you can possibly be miserable about your life, but even in that, I was. So as that evolved, I just started basing my identity on everybody else. I was like, I just wanted to feel fulfilled. I wanted to be cool in everyone else's eyes. And honestly, I started chasing after women. I was just chasing girls. Thankfully, I never got there. I never uh got in a relationship or anything because I probably, if I did, I never would have found God. It probably would have been more slavery for me than anything. I would have never been free. But never got it. But like my entire validation was what women thought about me. So I was just chasing it and chasing it and chasing it. It was like flirting with multiple girls and honestly, let's be clear, I had no confidence at that time. So like I was timid as all get out. So let's be clear, I probably ended up scaring more women away than actually bringing them close to me. But
Yeah.
it was something that, and like even in that, like a lot of people knew my name. It was like it made no sense like why I felt so alone because I would see people in the halls that like I never even knew like had even met. And they're like, "Oh, what's up, Cole?" Or like, "What's up, C Money?" Or like that was like kind of my nickname.
See.
Like it was like, and I would be like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" And I didn't even know them. It was like everyone knew me. I'm like I didn't really do anything, but it was just like I I, I felt to some extent like even like with all of that, I felt so alone, and I just and so fast forward to like, summer before senior year, like, and let's be clear, like these entire like 6 years, let's be clear, like I was in sin, I was in lust, pornography, like all that stuff. I was getting drunk a little bit here and there. I didn't get too bad, but like there were times that like I was by no means living for God. No, no way, shape, or form living for God. So,
Yeah.
you
Appreciate
know,
you being vulnerable.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like something I think, you know, in that period, like I was only like going to like church or youth group because I want to talk to girls, even though I was so timid and I didn't like
Mm.
it was only for the purpose of women, and it was sad. And so getting over like summer, like going over summer, it was like it was when I like okay, I was like, all right, I might check out this God thing. I might try to start being a little more authentic. But it was only so like I could get a girlfriend or get the girl I liked or something like that. It was like, oh, like I'll just start preaching on God. I'll start praying. I'll start reading my Bible more, and then God's gonna give me that wonderful, beautiful Christian girl who loves Jesus with her whole heart, and yeah, and I'll just be fine. I'll be complete. The reason I want a relationship is because I felt like, man, if I had that relationship, I had that girl I could hold in my arms, I was like, I was gonna be complete.
Mm.
I felt like whole. I feel like I'd be whole. But so in that, it even the great thing about God is that like even when you are inauthentic and doing it for the wrong reasons, he takes where you are. If you just put like a foot in the doorway, it's like he is going to take you so far into a place that you never thought you'd go. So, but in that, I was still like struggling with depression. I was still struggling with anxiety. I was still like, I was hating myself. I was insecure. And so, senior year football season comes, like, and let's be clear, I was a 2 year starter at that point. Like, I'd started nose guard D line for 2 years. And yeah, I was a good player. I wasn't like a star player, but I was like, I made some tackles, made some plays. Then senior year comes, we like switch up the scheme and stuff like that. And so I ended up not being a starter on my football team after being a 2 year starter.
Mm.
And I was like the only senior on like a team. It was a team of 25 people. I was the only senior who didn't start. I was playing scout team as a senior, and I was humiliated. I was frustrated. I was angry. I hated people. And honestly, during that, I was kind of angry at God. I was thinking of quitting football. And I love football, man. Football is like my favorite sport, but it's not. It doesn't control me as much as it used to. I'm gonna kind of get into this a little bit, but it was like my entire identity was also like kind of even in high school was just an idea of being an athlete and being a football player. Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like those like 80s stereotypes about like the football players, like the jocks, like the cool kids. Like
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that. I didn't like act like that. I was like, yeah, I'm a football player. I'm cool. I'm strong. I'm tough. I'll get the ladies because I'm a football player.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
You're good.
That's funny. But in that, man, it was like I just felt more alone than ever. And going into football season, it was just I was like just dreading it, honestly. I started to hate the sport I loved so much because I was like now, granted, towards the end of the season, I got better. I got playing time. I was able to start towards the end of the season. So, like, God was faithful, and He did kind of pull me through that. And like, got to play some like the last couple of games of my career, and it was. I remember just like crying my last football game. It was like it was such a blessing, and I got to play. It was awesome, but it was like I felt like I endured like I thought I was really going through a trial right there, but man, I boy did I know. Boy did I know what God had in store after that. So, granted, continuing after that, even like into like the first half of 2024, I was still like focused on women. I was like praying and like I was praying even more. I was praying more. I was talking to God more. I was going on like walks. I was talking with the Lord more, and like I started changing my music. Like I started like listening to more worship music, more like less like secular music, and just like the like Juice WRLD and like the like depressing rap and stuff like that. Like I stopped listening to that because it was like it didn't fill me up. But the reason I was, to be honest, the reason I was kind of doing these things was because I was like, oh, if I start doing this enough, if I start reading my Bible more, if I start praying more, if I start listening to enough worship music, if I start giving God enough, He's finally going to give me the girl I want. He's
Mm,
going to finally give me that relationship.
mm.
He's going to finally do it. And now, granted, I'm still single now, so don't worry. If you want me, ladies, you know me.
Okay.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Uh, but uh, in that though, I was so inauthentic with God. But like getting back to it, it was like even in like the inauthenticity, the Lord changed my life. Like I started to like kind of feel confident again, and like even in that like that born again process, like how you said like you kind of went through that depression like with like
Mm-hmm.
your senior year a little bit. I was like that my senior football season. I was kind of like that depression. But even actually for a long time after that, I was still going through that depression because I was like still just I was like listening to like looking at this like Instagram videos of just like people saying like, oh, God's gonna come through. Wait, God's about to do something. God's about to do something big
Oh,
in
I
your life.
hate those.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like honestly, I do not look at that stuff anymore because it's
Yeah,
just
it's
it's
like
people.
this to claim that you'll have something, a huge blessing come your way this week or
And that
something
was
like
and
that.
that's so fake. Those people are some of the fakest people you'll ever see. And like, but I believed it because Paul very much talks about like how new believers need milk and not food. And I was like, I was getting some milk from like church and like read my Bible and stuff like that. But like my entire like view of God was like this how social media presented God.
Mm,
And in that like I would get angry at God because I'm like, hold up, God, like it said it's gonna happen. I believed it. I said I prayed over it. I was like, God, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. And He never did. And it
mm,
was because the truth was I was chasing after relationships. I was chasing validation because I was broken. I was chasing after God in order to feel more validated and feel like more welcomed and like feel proud of myself. I was chasing God to be a better person, but not because I actually love Jesus. I chased God for what He could give me and not actually for Him. And that, for me, for the longest time, was just felt like it was an endless cycle. I was just like getting angry at God and getting frustrated at God. And so June comes, and I don't think Blue had mentioned this, but
Oh, oh man.
bro, forgot.
How did I forget that?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, but
No, this was because you were supposed to talk about it.
yeah, I was gonna stop talking about it, but basically, as I like mentioned earlier, like me and Lloyd both like started getting closer together, and like we just came up with the decision. I was supposed to get baptized at like my church, like the Compassion Christian Church I was going to then, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do. I don't want to get baptized in church. I want to do it in a way that's meaningful with some like people that meant it, like meant something to me. And it's like I got to turn to my youth pastor Sam, and he Samuel Paul, if you're watching this, man, you have had such a dramatic impact on my life,
Same with
man.
mine, man. Same
Like
with
you
mine.
are such a blessing to us, and like so grateful for you, man. But he was my youth pastor, and he had like kind of like helped me grow a little bit my faith, and like I was asking him, talking to him about these things, just asking questions, and he was just kind of there along the way, and I was like, you know what? I want to get baptized by Sam. And I was like, you know what, Willard, I want to get baptized with you, bro.
It
So
was this was funny thing. I was on the boat as I started thinking about this. Like I was thinking about it for like the last day or two. I'm
yeah,
like, I think I should get rebaptized.
yeah,
And as I'm in thought about this, Cole, I literally see the text from Cole saying, "Yo, you want to get rebaptized together?"
yeah. And that's like, getting
Just
to
like
like
crazy.
rebaptism, man, is so. Because like his thing, we got baptized as like in church and like infants in church, but like that wasn't a
Hmm.
choice. It wasn't like our choice to be born again. That's why it's like I'm against like infant baptism or just like even you can have faith as a child, but
Hmm.
like it's honestly more or less your parents' faith. So I mean, it. I will say this. You know what? There are people that do love Jesus who have loved Jesus their entire lives, from childhood to adulthood. But I will say, for many people, you typically have to struggle. You typically have to go through something. You typically have to fall away from
Hmm.
God in order to be actually brought to Him.
And
You
if
know,
you haven't though, don't feel like you need to
yeah, don't.
at
Yeah,
all.
if you have not, don't think you need to. That's the. If you have been faithful to God throughout, that is incredible. I honestly, I don't know how you do it, but
Yeah.
for me, it was like I had to get like that life change, And let's be granted, like I'm honestly gonna be honest, the reason I wanted to get baptized, part of the reason was because I wanted to post it on social media for like the Christian girls to freaking
No way.
yeah, dude, I was down bad, man. I was down horrendous. But it was like it was more or less I was just doing it for people around me. So going through summer, like my faith was growing, and like I didn't get the girl I wanted, and I was so frustrated with God. I was like, God, why would you do this? Why would you not have this? This seemed like right. It seemed perfect. It seemed beautiful. But I didn't even realize what God's plan was. I didn't even see what He was doing. It's like I saw this. I actually heard this quote earlier today, and it's like so many times we're looking at like God's plan, but we see it from the back of the portrait. We don't, and God's in front of the portrait. He sees the beautiful picture that has us in it, but we are just looking at the darkness in the back of it.
Mm.
And it's like we didn't. I
Mm.
couldn't see what God was doing. So I was angry at God for a bit, and then I got to UGA. I rushed to Christian fraternity, BY, Beta Upsilon Chi, and I was like, man, I finally found my people. I finally found like like a comfortable Christian atmosphere. Like all these people, like they're Christian. I was like, man, I thought this was like this seemed perfect. And granted, before this, I was talking to God. I was like, I don't know if I want to rush a fraternity, and I heard God say, don't rush, and or just say no, and I disobeyed him. I
Mm.
ran away and I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway because I think this is what God wants. I think this is what's best for me because it's got to be right. It's a Christian community, right? There's no way that God wouldn't want this because it's a lot of people that call themselves believers. And I'm not saying that some aren't or some are. Like that's a different story. But the truth is, it wasn't the place for me because it provided so much comfort for me. I would
Mm.
be entrapped in comfort and be chasing women or something like that. That's what I was doing. I was so focused on like just trying to chase sorority girls or like, get a number or this and that. I was Loki just, oh, like my entire testimony is Loki just being down bad for women. That's
Uh.
Loki my testimony. But um, so getting into Bloodship, I was like thinking, man, these guys are awesome. Like I love some of the guys. I was getting close to some of my friends in that, and so 4.5 weeks of Bloodship goes by, and this is like super busy. So I was like just super busy all the time, and then 4.5 weeks I get dropped from Bloodship, and I was like, what? I didn't break a rule. Like I'd struggled a little bit in Bloodship, but it was like they were like, we want you to be more intentional with your Pledge Brothers. You're just not this. You're not intentional, and I was that like the next day I was so angry at God. Like I literally debated leaving God. I was debating becoming an atheist. I was like, there's no way God is for me. He didn't give me the girl. He didn't give me the fraternity. He took everything away from me. Why would he do this to me? This makes no sense. This doesn't reflect. I thought my God is good. I thought he loves me. And like I was like God, I thought like Romans 8:28, God works all things for good. That's what he does. And I was like, my life isn't good. I like what is this? And what followed that was probably the loneliest period of my life I've ever been. Like I was struggling so much. I would be sometimes I was Friday nights, I was like sitting in my dorm room alone. Like I had no friends. Like that's just me being honest. I didn't really tell many people about this. Talked to Will a little bit about it, but I was like, dude, I was so like lonely. And I was like, why? And the truth was is because in that God took everything away from me to break me to pieces on my foundation so that he could pick up all the pieces and rebuild me on his foundation.
Mm.
That's what he was doing. I didn't even see it then. I was so focused on next couple weeks, like social media, like saying God's gonna come through, he's gonna change something, he's gonna make these BYX guys come and just take me back, and like I get like reinitiated because the truth is like, and this is kind of a pride thing. I'm not trying to brag, but it's like in BYX and stuff like that, I was like one of the popular guys in like my pledge class. Like everybody knew my name, and it was kind of like what it was in like San Andrews, like people like I didn't even know a lot of people, and a lot of people knew my name. I was like wasn't even doing anything. It's like I didn't even know what I was doing, but it's like I had a cool nickname, JCR. Everyone loved me, and like I felt like finally at home. But after that followed the hardest period of my life. And I was like, wait, God, why would you take me from this? Why would you take me from this comfortable Christian community? Why would you do this to me? Why would you break me? But little did I know what he was doing. So
Mm.
in that,
I think
like,
it's John. I don't mean to cut you off. It's like John 13:7. You don't understand now what I'm doing, but later
you
you'll
don't
understand.
understand. And it's like, and also I think in Matthew, I don't know if it's Matthew 18 maybe. Like Jesus talks about like to Peter about like Peter's like talking to Jesus like, oh, we're not gonna let you die. And he's like, get behind me, Satan. You do not have in mind the concerns of God. I didn't have that in mind the concerns of God and my own concerns, what I wanted. So in that, I was still like praying, God, give me a woman, give me a girlfriend, give me like some like Christian community, just give me something. And that prayer got delayed. So like that entire first semester, like I was still going to like the campus ministries and this and that. I was still going there, and like, but I wouldn't say I would say my faith was growing, but it was struggling too. I was very up and down. I wasn't eating very well, so I was gaining some weight, and I was just in a mess, honestly. Like I was like, and honestly, just reflecting, I was like, wait, God, you said, well, I was like, my life was crap beforehand before knowing Jesus. I was depressed, anxious, hated my life. I had suicidal thoughts. I didn't mention that earlier, but like, I had suicidal thoughts. I'll kind of joke about the same things that Willard was joking about. But I would say, like, if God did not intervene at the point that he did, like, I may not be here. It was getting bad at some point. It was getting rough. It was not I like hated my life honestly like throughout high school, but then God came in and just and like my life changed, but it didn't change for the better instantly. Like I had something I could cope with. I could cope with Jesus. I had like some like reason I could cope with something. And so going into like that period of my life, I was like just reflecting. I was like, wait, God, my life's supposed to get better. My life's supposed to be more full. I'm supposed to be happy and so joyful as everyone says as walking with you is. This is what it's supposed to be, right? That like I was so angry at God because I was like, this is what I thought I was promised. I didn't get what I promised.
Mm.
And like Wood said, like you may not understand what I'm doing, but now you later you understand. And it's I didn't understand what God was doing, but I was struggling. I was struggling with my past. I was struggling with like letting go of like some of the women I really liked, and just like I was struggling so much because I was so alone. And like in that loneliness, I was able to face it. I was able to face my problems for the first time, my depression, my anxiety, and really face it with God. And I was like isolated, but it allowed me an avenue to where like I couldn't ignore the way I was feeling. I couldn't ignore it. So I was just like, you know what, God, I'm gonna come to you. I can't. There's nothing else I can do. I lost all my friends because it was. I'm not gonna dog on those guys that like at BYX, but it felt like after everyone abandoned me. After I was dropped, it felt like there was some that stuck around, but it felt like for the most part everyone left me behind. Like they went on with their lives, their date nights, all their stuff, and I was like just sitting in the dust. I was like, wait, why? This was a Christian community. This was like my place, I thought. I thought these people loved me. And it's like, Cole, you don't know what love is. Because God stuck by me through everything. He saw everything. He stuck by me. He didn't leave me. He never forsake me. He didn't like say it. Like he never left my side, even in like the moments where I struggled the most. So going through that, because everyone says like, oh, in college, like when you get to college, you're supposed to get involved with all these things. I didn't initially. Actually, I didn't at all because I felt called. I was like, God wants me in this, and it was like I was angry about it because I was like, why God do you want me in this? Like I actually tried to disobey. I tried to go join small groups. I tried to go join campus ministries and stuff like that and get involved in that. And like I thought I'd find my community. He was like, no, I want you right here. And I was like, God, why? Why do you want this from me? What is your purpose in this? Are you just trying to torture me? And and there were times that I literally told God to F off my life. I was like, God, why are you doing this? But I did not see the purpose. I didn't see the reason. So you know what? I would just sometimes get in arguments with God all the time. I would just be so angry at him and frustrated with him. And going towards the end of the year, like it didn't get better. So I go to winter break. Like I think I was like, man, I finally have this break. It's gonna be nice to just like kind of be home, be away from the Athens atmosphere, just kind of distance myself from what I've been going through. I was thinking, man, oh, like second semester is gonna be my comeback story. Like everything's gonna work out. I might rush BYX again. I might find like a girl or something like that. I thought everything was gonna work out. But the truth was, I wasn't surrendering my life throughout all of it. I was still focused on what I wanted with my life. I was like, I still want to get like that finance degree. I still want to go to Terry. I'm still like in like UGA and Terry College Business. Like that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. But I hope that if it's the Lord's will, I can do something else and just like follow Him with my life and serve Him. That's like kind of. But like I still got to get to that, but I was still focusing on all I wanted God to do in my life. I was still focused on God, like asking God to just change my life. In reality, I I wanted Him to change my circumstances, but in reality, He was just changing me. He was
Mm.
making me. So I go back to Georgia my second semester, and I was thinking, man, it's my comeback story. Everything's gonna get better. Everything's just gonna start working out, man. I was like, getting hyped. I was like, man. And then that month of January was probably even the hardest. I was like, wait, God, I thought this was supposed to work out. I thought like you're supposed to do these things, and I actually ended up joining another small group because I was like, oh, I felt like God was saying this to me, but in reality, this was just what I wanted. I wanted to join a small group. I wanted to just feel some community and be somewhat social. And I was praying for communities, praying for people like that, like I love and I love spending time with. And little did I know, like the small group I did join, like that wasn't where God wanted me, but He used a person in that small group to take me to a Prince Avenue family group. Like He invited me, and like I saw God answer a prayer right in front of me. I was like, this is what I've been begging for, and it was like just a massive answered prayer before my eyes. But I was also, granted, during that time, like I was super excited about this community, but I was like, man, where are the girls at? Where are they at? Like I was still focusing on that so much, and it was like I loved going to the family group. I loved the guys there. It was awesome. Like some of those guys, Davis, Carson, and Eric. Those are like some of the guys I love most, and they have been so impactful in my life. And just having our D group meetings has been such a blessing. But going into that, I was like, man, this is finally my place. This is finally my people. But I still like God was like, I'm giving you this, but I still want you with me. I don't want you to go get over involved in things. I still want you to spend time with me. I still want you here. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna obey. He gave me this, and I'm gonna obey. You know, and I had these friends that I finally was talking to people, and it was nice, but I still was struggling. And actually, fast forwarding back before I got into that family group, it was actually January 31st in the month that I actually talked about this. I was actually going to see Willard at a basketball game, and this was like after like the hardest month of my life, and I was just like, I literally just sat there in the car and I literally just broke down, God. I'm like, I surrender everything. I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're trying to do out of me. I don't know what you're trying to bring out of me. But you got something, and I don't know what it is. But I'm gonna stop trying to figure it out. That night, Willard mentions to me a podcast, and like initially I was like, yeah, you should start it, bro. I didn't like initially think about it too much. I was like, yeah, it seems like great. But then like that thought started marinating like a podcast, and it was like over time. And I was remember I was just at the gym. I think it was like 2 weeks later. I was just like talking to the Lord a little bit, and He's like, so you're gonna start a podcast with Lord, like. you're gonna start a podcast with Will. And I was like, wait, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to do this? Are you sure you want me? Like the guy that was still struggling with like lust and pornography at that time. Like I'm not gonna be. I mean, honestly, throughout my walk with Christ, like there have been times where I've struggled with like masturbation, pornography. I've gotten a lot better with it, But there have been times where even throughout my walk when I've gone like 4 months without it, and there's been times when I've gone like not been able to go days without it. It's been a battle, but I'm doing a lot better than I used to. I'm doing better now, I would say.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
you're not alone in that.
not alone, no, man, that's great, man. And we're gonna talk about lust and all that stuff in future episodes probably. But going into that like March, it was like okay, like I kind of had like for the first time in my life, I was like I had this like desire to do this podcast. Like God gave me like a fire in my soul to do this. I was like for the first time in my life, I was like dude, I have purpose. I have
Mm.
like something like I want to do with my life because part of my testament, I haven't really mentioned this that much, but I never really wanted to. Never really knew what I wanted to do with my life. I just never did. I never knew. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna chase after finance because everyone does finance. I'm just gonna do basketball or like, well, not college basketball, but I was like doing it because people did it. But I never knew my passion until I realized like my passion is talking like about and specifically about Jesus. I can go on and on talk about Jesus and what he's done in my life. And I'll tell you what, after like getting to my family group and like the D group with the guys in that family group, after that, that was started like probably the most fruitful season of my life. Was it like it wasn't answered prayers per se. It wasn't like me getting a girl or anything like that. It was more or less me just growing so much in knowing the Lord and like hearing the Lord's voice for the first time. It's like when I fully surrendered my life to God and I was like, God, I just want to follow you wherever you go. I don't care about a business. I don't care about finance. I don't care about anything of this world. I don't even care about having a job in this world. I'm like, God, I just want to spend my life chasing after you and following you and everything. And you just take the wheel.
Mm.
And so in doing that, it was like, um, I just let go of everything. And it was like I started to hear the voice of God like more clearly. It was like more of a whisper in the back of my head. Like I started hearing him more because I was like all these things were like out of the way. And it
Mm.
was like I stopped caring about like, when I was gonna get a girl or stuff like that. And Jesus says in Matthew 10 it's like a kingdom divided cannot stand. And obviously he's talking about like Satan being divided against himself when the religious leaders accuse him of getting his power from Satan. But I also think like that verse like of kingdom divided against itself cannot stand was so applicable to my life because the truth was I was like my kingdom, the kingdom of God was not really fully in my heart. And like what do I mean with that? What it was just like my mind and my soul and my heart was divided between I was like I love God, but I'm like I want a girl, I want like this job, I want this comfortable life. I was thinking for a long time, like before this, I was like, oh, I'll just be like I know I have like a gift to speak and lead. I was like, I'll just be like a middle school boys like small group leader. I'll just be like a small group leader like that. And I'm not dogging on people that do that. Like God's got purposes for everyone.
Mm.
But little did I know God's whole plan was in motion. Like when he told me I want you to start this podcast, like and I heard the voice of God and he's like, I'm gonna get you here. I want to take you here. You are going to do this, you know. And so that fruitful season of my life, had been growing so much. I was so focused on the Lord. I was just like drawing near to him. Now, granted, I was still struggling at times. Like I'm not perfect with depression, anxiety. Like I've still been up and down sometimes, but I was producing so much fruit because my eyes were now fully set on the Lord. It wasn't like distracted. Like the kingdom of God was like my full focus. Like seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be given to you. It was like for the first time I was like fully focused on the Lord and what the Lord wanted, not what I wanted, but what He wanted. So in that, like that fruitful season, I started just learning, hearing the voice of God, and just like seeing what He wanted from us, and like trying to be patient with that. Because like I don't think it ever got away from me. Like I wanted to start the podcast this summer with Lord, but I didn't know for sure. And it wasn't until like towards the end of my school year at which we call it at UGA, I was like that it's like started God like started speaking. He's like, I want you to start this summer, you know. But in that, I was like, okay, like what am I? What are we? Like and I didn't even know like the name of the podcast then, but it was like I was talking to Will, and I was like, dude, I want to be too broken mirror to being used to reflect the glory of God, like the
Mm.
light of God, like just like being used to reflect Him, but also like showing our brokenness and our struggles and just being open and honest about that. That's like our goal for this is just the authenticity,
Mm.
you know. So like throughout that season, like I was growing so much, and man, it was such a blessing. It was such an absolute blessing. I was growing, I was knowing the Lord, and I was just so on fire for Jesus at that point. Sometimes I was like literally be just talking to God for hours, just like focusing on Him, just like praying to Him, like reading my Bible for like a long periods of time, just because I was like, Lord, I just want you. I just want you. I just want what you give me. I want what you have for my life. I do not want what I want, because my picture of life is not the whole picture. It's not what is best. I know that you have what's best for me, and I'm like, I want to trust you with that.
Mm.
And throughout that, like, and I like this analogy for it, but it was like God started lighting a fire in my soul, like just for Him, like, and just to lead and to love on the people, like the lost. Like we talked about, like how we both struggle with like depression and anxiety, and I was like, for me, I'm like, I want to go and help the people that struggle with that and show them that there's another way. There's God,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like that fire, like it took a long time to build, because like the way I like to like describe this analogy is like God brings the firewood, but He's not gonna like light it with a lighter. He's gonna take the time. He's gonna rub the sticks together until it, and it that hurts. It doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable because it's grinding against each other. But that grinding, that hurt, that breaking produces smoke, and that smoke produces sparks, and that spark produces a flame, and that flame will burn for the Lord. And that's what leads me to where I'm at now, and like
Fire.
where we're at now, dude. Like we're just two guys that are broken years for Christ, but are on fire for Him. We just want to lead people. You know, I'm not a perfect man. I admit that, man. I've done wrong in my life, but I'm forgiven. I've been called as a child of the Most High God. I accept the grace that He's offered me, the new life He's offered me. Like these 2 years of like trying to follow God have been like some of the hardest years of my life, but I'm a new creation. I'm a new person. I never thought that like, okay, God is actually not lying about this. Like what
Mm.
it means to actually be a new creation and be a new man. It's like I'm a new person. I love Jesus. I'm on fire for Him. I just want to follow Him to the best of my ability wherever He leads us. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're like starting this podcast. Is
Yeah.
we're like the name Chasing the Call. It actually came to us a couple of weeks ago. Willard was actually driving back. It was actually Easter weekend, I think, and we were like
It was late Easter
late
night.
Easter week night, and I was like, but we gotta come up with with a name. I was like, I thought it was like the Living Water Show, or like just I didn't even know what it was. I was like cross chasing, no, but there's people doing that. I was like, God, and I just started praying on the phone. I think Will was there. I was just like, God, I want something that like will that represents what we're doing. We're chasing you, and I was like, that's what we're doing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like then to my in my back of my mind, I believe it was the Lord's whisper, but it was like chasing the call.
We're
J-
chasing the call the Lord has for us.
yeah, we're called to know God and love God, and follow Him, and that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're chasing. We're not chasing the cross because the cross already stands and it has already been finished. Like Jesus says in John 19, 20, it's like it's finished. It's finished. It's done. Your debt's been paid. You are made anew. I have died so that you could be free. But now you have to walk with me. You have to choose to follow me. To choose to answer my call. Like, and that's what like we're our main focus is with this, man, is we're not trying to lead people to religion. We don't want to lead people to religion, because I'll tell you what, religion never saved my life. I grew up in the church 17 years and never knew Christ. Like religion
Mm.
never changed my life. Jesus changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I am here breathing because of God. He wakes me up every single day. He's still got a purpose for me, man. And just
Amen.
thinking about where I was and who I am now, I'm two different people. And it's only because of the Lord, you know?
Mm.
So that's we're on this journey. We
Yep.
started this journey, and that's what we're gonna be doing.
Sir.
You know.
Okay, last thing I'll add is I took the screenshot of the song Maybe It's Okay by We Are Messengers earlier today. And I think it's grown to become my favorite song. It's like the main lyrics are is if I didn't know what it hurt like to be broken, then how would I know what it feels like to be whole? If I didn't know what it cuts like to be rejected, then I wouldn't know the joy of coming home. Maybe it's okay if I'm not okay, because the one who holds the world is holding on to me. Maybe it's alright if I'm not alright, because the one who holds the stars is holding my whole life. Like
That's a
that,
bar.
it's so powerful,
That is
and
so
with
powerful.
just everything that goes with it in the song,
Say that song look again, Kev.
it's so powerful. Like if you're out there, if you're broken, if you don't know, if you don't have anything that's fulfilling you, if you need something to fulfill you, just know that God is always there. Jesus is always there with open arms, and no matter where you are, just come to Him as you are, and He will accept you with the greatest love of all time.
Yeah.
It's the greatest story you could ever think of, and
It's the greatest exchange.
you can join His kingdom today. So
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all if you
So
stayed
we
for the
can have
yeah.
freedom, you know. That's what he came and died so we can be free.
If you stay for the whole time, I appreciate y'all, and if you have any if there's any audio things, just comment or whatever.
Yeah, we're figuring this out.
We're still learning this,
Like,
so
speak your mind.
yeah.
We want your suggestions. We want to like kind of figure out how to do this. We're just starting. That's what we're doing,
Yeah.
and just trying to be faithful to what the Lord's called us to do. So yeah.
And I'm not doing this for anything, but type amen if you stay for the whole time. I just want to see.
I just want to see
I
people.
appreciate y'all. All right.
Yeah.